The ring weighed like an accusation. Tessa Crane opened her eyes slowly, very slowly, because behind her eyelids a rock band was rehearsing with jackhammers. Sunlight sliced through the hotel room's beige curtains and stabbed directly into her brain. She groaned, turned her face into the pillow. Egyptian cotton, definitely not hers. And that's when she saw it. A diamond the size of a fat olive reflecting obscene rainbows on the wall, on her left hand, on the right finger. "No," she whispered to the universe. "No, no, no, no." The bathroom door opened. Steam escaped like a movie entrance, and through the fog emerged Declan Archer, 6'2" of absolute control wrapped in a white hotel robe, toweling his hair. He stopped, looked at her. One eyebrow rose exactly 3 millimeters, which for him was equivalent to a full-blown panic attack. "You're awake," he said, in that baritone voice that made interns cry in meetings. Tessa sat up so fast the room spun. Why are we?" She raised her left hand like evidence in court. "What is this?" Declan crossed his arms. Even in a bathrobe, he had that CEO presence that could silence an entire boardroom. During the past 2 years as marketing director at Archer Global, Tessa had watched this man fire people with a blink. He didn't blink often. "It's an engagement ring," he said, as if explaining basic concepts to a child. "Cartier, 3.2 carats. You were very specific about wanting emerald cut." I was what? Specific. He walked to the side table where coffee waited. Of course, there was already coffee. Declan Archer probably emerged from the womb networking. "You were also very specific about wanting me. In front of the entire executive team, 3 major investors, and unfortunately, my mother." Memory hit Tessa like a freight train. The rooftop bar. The celebration cocktails, because finally, they'd closed the Miller-Townsend deal everyone said was impossible. Her drinking martinis like water because Marcus from finance had that smug, "I told you so" face, and she hated Marcus from finance. Declan showing up late, still in his suit because the man probably slept in suits. Her laughing too loud about something, someone making a toast, and then, "I can't believe this." Tessa buried her face in her hands. "I climbed on a table. A chair first, then the table. I made a speech, more precisely a marriage proposal." Declan took a sip of coffee, impassive as a Greek statue with better things to do. "You said, and I'm quoting verbatim, that I was the most impossible man in New York, but someone had to put up with you, and it might as well be me because we both have no personal life anyway, and at least the sex would be efficient." Tessa wanted a hole to open in the floor and swallow her whole, or a meteor to hit Manhattan. Anything would work. "I did not say that." "You did. Marcus recorded it." Declan pulled his phone from his robe pocket and slid the screen toward her. There she was. Tessa Crane, auburn hair perfectly blown out now looking like a bird's nest, holding a champagne flute like the Statue of Liberty, declaring to a room full of drunk executives that Declan Archer had the personality of a 10-page contract but pianist hands. "And I've seen those hands and I have questions." Declan, so many questions. She wanted to die. Sudden death right there on the Mandarin Oriental floor. "You said yes," she said weakly. "I did." "Why?" Declan put the phone back in his pocket. His eyes, gray like steel or storms or other cliches Tessa didn't have the brain capacity to process, met hers with something that looked almost like amusement. No, Declan Archer didn't get amused. He optimized. "Because," he said, "the minute you asked, my mother applauded. She's 74 and waiting for grandchildren with the same fervor investors wait for quarterly profits. And because you were right." "Right about what?" "We both have no personal life anyway." He shrugged, a movement so calculated it was probably practiced. "My mother stops hounding me. You get the promotion you've been gunning for. Nobody questions the CEO's wife. Marriage of convenience. Very common in our circles." Tessa stared at him. "You've lost your mind." "I'm pragmatic. There's a difference. You can't stand me." "Incorrect. You're my most competent employee. I find you extremely tolerable. Yesterday you said my presentation had excessive unnecessary enthusiasm." "It did." Declan finished his coffee. "But it worked. As I said, competent." Tessa climbed out of bed, wearing, she realized with horror, only a men's dress shirt that smelled like cedar and arrogance. and walked toward him. Even barefoot, she was 5'7". In heels, she was almost eye level with him. Now she had to look up, which irritated her deeply. "We didn't sleep together?" she asked, cautious. "No." "Why not?" Something passed across Declan's face. Fast. Secret. "You fell asleep in the car. I brought you here because your apartment's on the other side of town, put you to bed, slept on the couch." Declan Archer slept on a couch, Tessa said, disbelieving. "Mandarin couches are adequate." She laughed. Couldn't help it. This was all so absurd. The ring, him in a bathrobe, her wearing his shirt. This ridiculous conversation about a marriage of convenience like they were in a Katherine Heigl movie from the 2000s. Declan watched her laugh. And his mouth. That mouth she'd never noticed before. Lie, total lie, she'd noticed it in every tense meeting. Curved up exactly 1 millimeter. "You have," he said. A very loud laugh. "You have," Tessa shot back. "Zero social skills. And yet, you proposed to me. I was drunk. You were honest." He tilted his head, studying her the way he studied spreadsheets, completely, methodically. "The question, Tessa, is simple. Are you going to honor your proposal, or are you going to leave me at the altar before we even get to a church?" His phone buzzed. Then hers. Then both together in a symphony of notifications. Declan checked first. His face didn't change, but something in his shoulders went tense. "Marcus posted the video to the department chat," he said, as calm as someone commenting on the weather. Tessa grabbed her phone. 37 messages, 16 missed calls, 5 emails with the subject line, "Congratulations," in all caps. Her assistant had texted, "Tessa, what did you do? There's a photo of the ring on his mom's Instagram. Help, Instagram." Tessa repeated hollow. "Your mother's on Instagram. 300,000 followers. She's a lifestyle influencer for the senior set." Of course she was. Declan extended his hand, those hands Tessa apparently had questions about, waiting. "So? Do we have a deal? Or do I need to call legal about an engagement breach?" Tessa looked at the ring, at him, at her phone exploding with notifications, at the future that had just spectacularly imploded because of 4 martinis and a moment of alcoholic weakness, and thought, "You know what? Screw it. 6 months," she said, putting her hand in his, firm, defiant. "Fake marriage for 6 months. Then we divorce, go our separate ways, and I want that promotion in writing." His fingers closed around hers. Warm, strong, not efficient at all. 12 months, Declan said. "Quick divorces raise suspicion, and I'll draft the contract today." "You want a contract for a fake marriage? You expected something different from me?" No, she definitely didn't. Tessa squeezed his hand. "Deal, fiancé. Deal, fiancé." And then, because Declan Archer never did anything without turning it into competition, "Try not to fall in love with me in the process." She laughed in his face. "I'd literally rather eat glass." Noted. He didn't let go of her hand immediately, and she didn't pull back immediately. Outside, New York woke up to another Thursday. Inside the hotel room, 2 workaholics made the stupidest deal of their lives. What could possibly go wrong? The contract arrived at 2:47 p.m. Tessa was in her office, pretending to review the quarterly marketing analysis while actually spiraling through every worst-case scenario her anxiety could manufacture. She'd made it back to her apartment, showered off the previous night's mistakes, changed into her armor, a navy Armani suit that said, "I'm a professional who definitely didn't drunkenly propose to her boss," and arrived at Archer Global exactly 17 minutes early. Nobody had said anything, yet, but they were all looking. Jennifer from HR had given her a smile that was 60% congratulations, 40%, "I have so many questions." The receptionist had actually squealed. 2 junior associates she'd never spoken to had stopped her in the hallway to offer enthusiastic well-wishes that felt more like interrogations. And Marcus from finance had sent her a gif of a woman climbing onto a table, with the caption, "Iconic." She was going to murder Marcus from finance. Her phone buzzed. An email from Declan, subject line, "Agreement review required." Attached was a PDF titled, "Marital Arrangement Contract Final PDF." Of course it was titled that. Of course he'd already labeled it final, like this was a merger acquisition and not their entire lives imploding. Tessa opened it, 47 pages. "You've got to be kidding me," she muttered. Her office door opened without a knock, because apparently engaged couples didn't need to knock, and Declan walked in like he owned the place, which technically he did. He looked unfairly put together in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent, his dark hair perfectly styled, those gray eyes scanning her office with the same intensity he probably used to evaluate quarterly earnings. "You read it?" he asked, closing the door behind him. "I opened it 30 seconds ago, Declan. It's 47 pages. 46. The last page is signature fields." He sat in the chair across from her desk in her office, and crossed one leg over the other like he was settling in for a lengthy negotiation. "I can summarize." "Please do." Section 1 covers the timeline. 12 months from today, culminating in an amicable divorce citing irreconcilable differences. Section 2 outlines public appearances, minimum 2 per month, including one family event. Section 3 addresses living arrangements. Tessa's head snapped up. "Living arrangements? We'll need to cohabitate. My penthouse has sufficient space." He said it like he was discussing office assignments, not asking her to move into his home. "I have an apartment, a 1-bedroom in Alphabet City with questionable plumbing." He'd clearly done his research. "We're supposedly in love and getting married. Couples typically live together. Couples typically date first. We skipped that step." His mouth twitched, almost a smile. Definitely not a smile, because Declan Archer didn't smile. Section 4 covers financial arrangements. Let me guess. Prenup? Obviously, but also a monthly stipend for your personal expenses, full coverage of any costs related to maintaining appearances, and upon completion of the arrangement, a substantial settlement plus the previously discussed promotion to Vice President of Marketing. Tessa blinked. "VP, I thought you meant Senior Director." "You're worth VP. I don't make poor business decisions." He leaned forward slightly. "Section 5 is the important one. More important than me moving into your penthouse? Much more important. The rules." Something in his voice made Tessa's pulse quicken. Not in a good way. Or maybe in a good way. She wasn't sure anymore. Everything about the last 18 hours had been deeply confusing. "What rules?" Declan pulled out his phone, scrolled, then read in that crisp, controlled voice that made even mundane statements sound like declarations. Rule 1. All public interactions must appear authentic. No half-hearted performances. Rule 2. Private time remains private. We maintain separate bedrooms and personal space. Rule 3. No romantic or sexual relationships with outside parties for the duration of the arrangement. Rule 4. Complete honesty with each other about any complications. Rule 5. No falling in love. The last rule hung in the air like a challenge. Tessa laughed. "You put no falling in love in a legal contract?" "It's not legally binding in that section. It's more of a strong suggestion." "A strong suggestion? Yes. You're insane." "I'm thorough." He pocketed his phone. "Do you have any objections to the terms?" Tessa had about 17 objections, starting with the fundamental absurdity of this entire situation and ending with the fact that she was actually considering it. But when she looked at Declan, really looked at him, she saw something beneath that perfect, controlled exterior. Something almost vulnerable? No, Declan Archer didn't do vulnerable. "I have questions," she said. "I expected nothing less. The living arrangements. Do I get my own bathroom? You'll have the entire east wing, bedroom, bathroom, walk-in closet, and a small sitting room. I'm in the west wing. It sounds like we're in a castle. The penthouse is 4,200 square feet. It's efficient space management." Tessa bit back a smile. "Rule 3, no outside relationships. That applies to you too?" "Obviously. So you're going to be celibate for a year." Something flickered in his eyes. "Are you asking about my sex life, Tessa?" "I'm clarifying contract terms." "Of course you are." He stood, buttoning his suit jacket in one smooth motion. "I can be celibate for a year. The question is, can you? I've been accidentally celibate for the past 8 months, so yes, I think I'll manage." His eyebrow rose. 8 months? I've been busy. Some of us actually work for a living instead of just telling other people what to do. I work 80 hours a week. Doing what? Intimidating people with your eyebrows. And there, right there, the corner of his mouth definitely moved upward. My eyebrows are very effective. Tessa's phone buzzed, then buzzed again, then started ringing. She glanced at the screen. Mom, calling. Her entire body went cold. Don't answer that, she said to herself. Is that your mother? Declan asked. How did she? Another buzz. A text this time from her sister Riley. Mom saw the Instagram post. She's freaking out. Call her. No, Tessa whispered. No, no, no. Your family doesn't know, Declan said. Not a question, an observation. My family doesn't know I exist half the time unless they need something, so no, they don't know I got drunk and proposed to my boss. The phone kept ringing. Declan reached across her desk and declined the call. Then he took her phone, just took it, like that was a normal thing to do, and typed something. What are you doing? Tessa demanded. Texting your sister. He showed her the screen. Can't talk now, in important meeting, we'll call tonight, everything's fine. You can't just… I already did. He handed the phone back. We'll call your family tonight, together, from my apartment, after you've moved in. I haven't agreed to move in. You're about to sign a 47-page contract that says you will. 46. Tessa corrected automatically. His smile was sharp. So you were paying attention. She wanted to throw something at him, preferably something heavy. Instead, she grabbed a pen from her desk and pointed it at him like a weapon. Fine. I'll sign your ridiculous contract and move into your ridiculous penthouse and follow your ridiculous rules. But I have one condition. Name it. Sunday mornings are mine, completely mine. No public appearances, no fake relationship activities, no you. I sleep until noon, I watch trash TV, I eat cereal in my pajamas, and you stay in your wing and pretend I don't exist. Declan considered this. Acceptable. I have client calls with Tokyo on Sunday mornings anyway. Of course you do. Anything else? Tessa thought about it, about her tiny apartment with its questionable plumbing and her sister who only called when she needed money, and her mother who'd probably try to turn this into a publicity opportunity for her struggling real estate business. She thought about Marcus from Finance's smug face and the way everyone had looked at her this morning, not with pity or confusion, but with something that looked almost like respect, and she thought about Declan, standing in her office with a 46-page contract and a penthouse with separate wings and rules about not falling in love, like that was something you could legislate. Yeah, she said. One more thing. I'm listening. If we're doing this, the whole fake marriage thing, we're doing it right. I'm not half doing anything. So if we're in public, you better be convincing. None of this standing 3 feet apart looking like we're in a business meeting. Hand-holding, casual touching, the whole thing. Declan's expression didn't change, but something in the air between them shifted. Charged. You want me to touch you, he said slowly. I want you to act like a man who's in love with his fiancée. Yes. In public. Isn't that rule 1? Authentic public interactions. He moved then, circling her desk with the deliberate grace of a predator. Tessa's heart rate kicked up. From anxiety, obviously. Not from the way he was looking at her like she was a puzzle he was determined to solve. Declan stopped directly in front of her chair, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact, close enough that she could smell his cologne, something expensive and cedar sharp that she'd never noticed before and would probably never forget now. Stand up, he said quietly. What? Stand up. We should practice. This was a terrible idea. Tessa knew it was a terrible idea. She stood up anyway. Declan reached out slowly, giving her time to object, to pull away, and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. His fingers barely grazed her cheek, but Tessa felt it everywhere. Like this? He asked, his voice lower than usual. She couldn't breathe. That's good. His hand slid down to her chin, tilting her face up slightly. What about this? Very convincing. And if I did this? His thumb brushed across her lower lip. Just once, barely a touch. Would people believe I'm in love with you? Tessa's brain short-circuited. I think they'd believe it, yes. Good. He stepped back like nothing had happened, like he hadn't just completely dismantled her entire nervous system with 3 casual touches. I'll send a car for your things tonight, 6 p.m. Pack essentials. We'll arrange for the rest later. Tonight? The story's already out. Your mother's already calling. We need to control the narrative, and we can't do that if you're living in Alphabet City. He headed for the door, then paused. Oh, and Tessa? What? Bring comfortable clothes for Sunday mornings. I don't want to see business casual in my kitchen when you're eating cereal." Then he was gone, leaving her standing in her office, still feeling the ghost of his thumb on her lip. Her phone buzzed. The contract, marked for signature. Tessa looked at it. 46 pages of the most ridiculous agreement she'd ever seen. 12 months of pretending to be in love with a man who needed a contract to define emotions. A year of her life dedicated to an elaborate lie. She signed it. What was the worst that could happen? The penthouse was ridiculous. Not just nice, not just expensive. Ridiculous in the way only Manhattan real estate could be. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park, kitchen counters that looked like they'd never seen actual food, and a living room larger than Tessa's entire apartment building. She stood in the marble foyer at 6:47 p.m., holding a duffel bag that suddenly felt embarrassingly small, while Declan's driver, a quiet man named Raymond who'd loaded her 3 suitcases with the efficiency of a Tetris champion, disappeared down the hallway with her belongings. "You live here," Tessa said to the empty air. "Alone." "Not anymore." Declan emerged from what she assumed was the kitchen, holding 2 glasses of wine. He'd changed from his suit into dark jeans and a black Henley that should have been illegal in all 50 states. "White or red? Is this a test?" "It's wine." "White." She took the glass, grateful for something to do with her hands. "This place is too much?" "I was going to say compensating for something, but sure, we'll go with too much." His mouth twitched. "The East Wing is through here." He led her down a hallway lined with abstract art that probably cost more than her college tuition, past a dining room with a table that could seat 14, and finally to a set of double doors. "Your room," Declan said, pushing them open. Tessa stepped inside and her brain immediately short-circuited. The bedroom was the size of a studio apartment. King-sized bed with a tufted headboard, sitting area with a velvet couch, French doors leading to what looked like a private terrace. The bathroom, visible through another doorway, had a soaking tub and a shower with about 17 different settings. "This is a hotel suite," she said. "It's a guest room. You have guest rooms like this?" "Just the one. The other guest room is smaller." He leaned against the doorframe, watching her process. "Raymond, put your suitcases in the closet. If you need anything." "Why are you doing this?" The question came out before Tessa could stop it. "Actually doing this. The contract, the arrangement, all of it. Your mother wanting grandchildren can't be the only reason." Declan was quiet for a moment, his expression unreadable. Then he walked into the room, setting his wine glass on the dresser. "My father built Archer Global from nothing," he said. "Spent 40 years turning it into what it is now. When he died 3 years ago, he left it to me with one condition, that I'd settled down, started a family, proved I could balance work and life." His words, not mine. "That's archaic, controlling, yes." Declan's jaw tightened. "The board's been increasingly vocal about it, especially after I refused to attend the Harrison wedding with a date, then the Pemberton charity gala, then the mayor's dinner. They think I'm too focused on work, too cold, too robot-like." The term they used was emotionally unavailable. Tessa snorted. "They're not wrong. I prefer focused." He met her eyes. "But perception matters in business. A CEO who can't maintain a personal relationship looks unstable, unreliable. My competitors have already started circling, looking for weaknesses. And my mother," he exhaled. "My mother looks at me like I'm disappointing my father's memory every day I stay single." The vulnerability in that last sentence caught Tessa off guard. For a moment, Declan wasn't the intimidating CEO who'd fired 3 people in last month's restructure. He was just a guy trying to live up to an impossible legacy. "So you decided a fake marriage was easier than actual dating," she said softly. "I decided a business arrangement with clear terms was more efficient than the uncertainty of dating." He picked up his wine glass. "And when you climbed on that table last night, already half the company watching, my mother in the room, Marcus recording, it was perfect timing." "Perfect timing," Tessa repeated. "I drunkenly humiliate myself, and you see a business opportunity. You drunkenly solved both our problems. You want the VP position. You've earned it, but the board questions promoting someone so young. But the CEO's wife, nobody questions that." His expression shifted, something almost like respect crossing his features. "You're brilliant at your job, Tessa. You closed Miller Townsend when 3 other directors failed. You increased our market share by 23% in 18 months. You deserve the promotion, and this arrangement ensures you get it." Tessa's throat felt tight. In 2 years of working for Declan, he'd never said anything like that. He gave critical feedback, pointed out inefficiencies, demanded excellence. He didn't give compliments. "That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me," she said. "I don't believe in false praise." "I know, that's what makes it nice." She took a long sip of wine. "Okay, so we're roommates in a fake marriage for mutual professional benefit. Where's the TV remote?" "TV? You know, the box that shows moving pictures? Entertainment, surely you've heard of it." Declan's expression suggested he had not in fact heard of it. "There's a TV in the living room. I don't use it." "What do you do for fun?" "I read the Financial Times." "That's not fun. That's a cry for help." Tessa kicked off her heels and flopped onto the enormous bed. "New rule. Sunday mornings are my trash TV time, and you're not allowed to judge." "I already agreed to that. And Friday nights, I need Friday nights too. Fridays we might have events. Then Saturday nights. One night a week where I can be a normal human who watches reality television and eats takeout." Declan considered this. "What kind of reality television?" "The trashiest kind. People falling in love in tropical locations. Strangers getting married. Drama and chaos." "That sounds like my actual nightmare." "Which is why you'll be in your wing doing whatever emotionally unavailable billionaires do for fun. Reading economic forecasts, reorganizing your sock drawer by thread count." "My socks are organized by color and occasion." Tessa sat up. "You're joking. I'm efficient." "You're exhausting." But she was smiling. How was she smiling? This entire situation was absurd. "When do we call my family?" Declan checked his watch, because of course he still wore an actual watch, probably worth more than a car. "Now's good. Get it over with. You want to be here for this." Rule 4. Complete honesty about complications. "Your family sounds like a complication." He wasn't wrong. Tessa pulled out her phone, stared at her mother's contact for a long moment, then hit call. It rang once. Tessa Marie Crane. Full government name. Never good. "Hi, Mom." "Don't you hi mom me. Riley sent me an Instagram post showing you engaged to some billionaire I've never heard of, and I had to hear about it from Instagram?" Declan raised an eyebrow. Tessa covered the phone. "She's just getting started. Who is this man? How long have you been dating? Why didn't you tell me? I'm your mother, Tessa. I raised you. I sacrificed for you. And this is how you repay me? By Mom." Tessa's voice was firm. "I'm putting you on speaker. Declan's here." A pause. "He's there? Now? We live together." Her mother's gasp could have shattered glass. "You're living together? In sin?" "We're engaged, Mom. People who are engaged often live together." "Not in my family, they don't. This is—" "Let me speak to him." Tessa looked at Declan, who'd gone perfectly still. She put the phone on speaker. "Mrs. Crane," Declan said, his voice smooth as expensive whiskey. "It's a pleasure to speak with you." "Is it? Because you're living with my daughter without being married." "We're engaged to be married. The wedding is being planned as we speak." That was news to Tessa. "And when exactly is this wedding?" her mother demanded. 6 months, Declan said without hesitation. "June. Small ceremony, immediate family only." "Small? 6 months? Tessa, this is ridiculous. You need at least a year to plan a proper wedding. And small? What will people think?" "They'll think we're in love and don't want to wait," Declan said. His hand reached out, and before Tessa could process what was happening, he'd taken her free hand in his. "Right, darling?" "Darling." Tessa's brain stalled. But Declan's thumb was doing that thing, that slow circle on her wrist, and his eyes were locked on hers with an intensity that made her forget her own name. "Right," she managed. "We're very much in love." "How did you meet?" Her mother's voice had shifted from outrage to suspicious. "At work," Tessa said. "Declan's my—" "I noticed her immediately," Declan interrupted smoothly. "First day she walked into the boardroom presenting the campaign strategy for the Berkshire account. She demolished 3 senior directors' objections in under 10 minutes. I thought, that's the woman I'm going to marry." Tessa's heart did something complicated in her chest. "And you thought this 2 years ago?" Her mother didn't sound convinced. "I thought it. Took me 2 years to convince her I was worth her time." Declan's smile was small but devastating. "Your daughter has very high standards, Mrs. Crane." "As she should." There was a long pause. Then, "Well, he sounds very Charming. He is, Tessa said, still staring at Declan. Very charming. I want to meet him, properly, not over a phone call. Of course. We'll arrange dinner this weekend. Tomorrow. I'm free tomorrow. Tessa's eyes widened. Tomorrow was Friday. She had 3 presentations and a client meeting. Mom, I don't think tomorrow works perfectly, Declan said. Say 7 p.m. I'll have Raymond pick you up. Where are you located? Her mother gave the address, somewhere in Queens, and then launched into a speech about appropriate engagement behavior and family values. Declan listened with perfect attentiveness, making agreeable sounds at appropriate intervals, while still holding Tessa's hand. When they finally hung up, Tessa slumped back onto the bed. She's going to eat you alive tomorrow, she said. I've negotiated with hostile shareholders. I can handle your mother. You've clearly never met my mother. Declan sat on the edge of the bed, her bed in her room, which felt weirdly intimate even though there were approximately 4 feet between them. Tell me about your family. Why? Because tomorrow I need to be convincingly in love with you, which means knowing details. Rule 1. Right. Authentic public interactions. Tessa sighed. My mom lives in Queens, sells real estate mostly to people who can't afford it. She's been married 3 times, currently single. She thinks I'm wasting my potential by just doing marketing, instead of something impressive like law or medicine. My sister Riley is 25, works as a yoga instructor, calls me when she needs money, which is always. My dad's in Florida with his new family. I haven't talked to him in 4 years. Why not? He forgot my birthday 3 years in a row, then sent me a Facebook friend request like that made up for it. Declan's expression darkened. That's typical? Yeah. Tessa picked at the duvet. My family's complicated, loud, dramatic. They're going to hate this, all of this. They're going to love me, Declan said with the kind of confidence that should have been annoying but somehow wasn't. I'm very good at making good impressions. You're very good at intimidating people. Same skill, different application. He stood, finishing his wine. Get settled, order whatever you want for dinner. There's a tablet in the kitchen with restaurant contacts. And Tessa? Yeah? Thank you for doing this. He left before she could respond, closing the doors quietly behind him. Tessa lay back on the bed, the most comfortable bed she'd ever experienced, in a penthouse that cost more per month than she'd made in her first year out of college, engaged to a man who organized his socks by occasion. Her phone buzzed. A text from Riley. Mom called me, said your fiancé sounds too smooth. Are you okay? Tessa typed back. Define okay. 3 dots appeared. Is he hot? Despite everything, the absurdity, the anxiety, the complete insanity of the situation, Tessa laughed. Annoyingly so, she replied. Then you're fine. Can I be a bridesmaid? Tessa stared at the message. They were going to have to actually plan a fake wedding, with bridesmaids, and flowers, and her entire family watching. She was going to need more wine. The restaurant was a mistake. Declan had chosen per se. 3 Michelin stars, $425 tasting menu, reservations booked 6 months in advance. The kind of place where the silverware cost more than most people's monthly grocery budget. Tessa's mother was going to lose her mind. We should have gone somewhere casual, Tessa muttered, adjusting her dress for the 15th time. Navy blue, tasteful, the kind of thing you wore to impress future in-laws. Except her mother wasn't a future in-law. She was a temporary inconvenience in an elaborate professional scheme. Casual doesn't convey commitment, Declan said, his hand steady on the small of her back as they walked toward the entrance. He'd been touching her like this all evening. Gentle, possessive, entirely too convincing. Your mother needs to believe I'm serious about you. My mother needs to believe you're not a serial killer. The bar is low. I'm aware. Raymond had picked up Tessa's mother and sister at 6:30 sharp. They'd arrived at the restaurant 7 minutes ago, according to the text Riley had sent. We're here. Mom is wearing her church dress. Help. Church dress meant pearls. Pearls meant judgment. They found them at the table. Her mother in a floral dress that was trying too hard. Riley in jeans and a blazer that was trying not hard enough. Both of them stood as Tessa and Declan approached. Mom. Tessa hugged her mother, who smelled like department store perfume and criticism. Riley. Tessa. Riley hugged her tight, whispering, He's hotter in person. What the actual? Riley Marie, their mother hissed. Declan extended his hand. Mrs. Crane. It's wonderful to finally meet you in person. Patricia Crane, once Patricia Davies, then Patricia Lombardi, then Patricia Chen, now back to Crane, looked at Declan's hand like it might contain a hidden contract. Then she shook it. Mr. Archer. Declan, please. Declan. She said it like she was testing the weight of it. This is a very expensive restaurant. Only the best for my future mother-in-law. They sat. A waiter appeared immediately, because that's what happened when you were Declan Archer. The universe simply served you and distributed menus that had no prices listed. Where are the prices? Patricia asked, loud enough for neighboring tables to hear. If you have to ask, you can't afford it, Riley muttered. Riley, Declan smiled, that smooth boardroom smile that probably closed million-dollar deals. The tasting menu is exceptional, trust me. 9 courses? Patricia's eyes widened. That's excessive. Mom, Tessa said quietly. I'm just saying, when your father and I got married, we had our reception at the VFW hall and everyone was perfectly happy. Which father? Riley asked innocently. The table went silent. Declan's hand found Tessa's under the table. Squeezed once, steadying. So, he said smoothly, redirecting. Tessa tells me you're in real estate, Mrs. Crane. Patricia's expression shifted, suspicious to flattered in under 2 seconds. I am. 23 years. I specialize in first-time homebuyers, helping young families achieve the American dream. That's admirable work. Declan leaned forward slightly, his attention completely focused on Patricia, in a way that even Tessa found slightly mesmerizing. The market's been challenging lately. How are you managing? And just like that, her mother was talking. About inventory shortages and interest rates and a difficult client who wanted a 4-bedroom in a good school district for under $400,000, which doesn't exist. But do they listen? Declan listened, actually listened, asking follow-up questions, nodding at appropriate moments, somehow making Patricia feel like the most interesting person in the room. It was, Tessa realized with growing horror, incredibly attractive. He's good, Riley whispered, leaning close. Like, really good. Does he have a brother? Focus, Tessa whispered back. The first course arrived, something delicate and artistic that Patricia stared at suspiciously. What is this? She asked. Hamachi with yuzu and microgreens, the waiter explained. It's raw fish. It's sashimi, Mom, Tessa said. Try it. Patricia tried it, made a face. It's interesting. Riley, meanwhile, had already finished hers and was eyeing Declan's. So, Declan, how did you actually propose? The internet says Tessa proposed to you, which, no offense, sis, is hilarious. Tessa nearly choked on her water. Declan didn't miss a beat. She did propose first, but that was the tequila talking. Martinis, Tessa corrected. Right, martinis. His mouth curved. But I proposed properly the next morning, with the ring, on one knee, the whole thing. This was news to Tessa. They hadn't discussed this part of the story. Really? Patricia leaned forward. Tell me everything. We were in the hotel room. Hotel room. Patricia's voice could have shattered the wine glasses. Because Tessa's apartment was across town and she'd had a long night. I'd slept on the couch. Declan's expression was perfectly innocent. And when she woke up, still wearing my shirt, looking confused and beautiful, I realized I didn't want this to be a joke. I wanted it to be real. Tessa's heart was doing something complicated and unauthorized. So I got down on one knee, Declan continued, his eyes on Tessa now. And I told her that I'd spent 2 years watching her be brilliant and fierce and completely herself, and that I'd be honored if she'd let me be the person who got to stand beside her while she changed the world. And then I asked her properly, Tessa Marie Crane, will you marry me? The table was silent. Tessa couldn't breathe. He was lying, obviously lying. They'd agreed to this whole fake arrangement in about 30 seconds. But the way he was looking at her, the way his voice had softened on her name. And what did you say? Riley asked Tessa. Tessa swallowed. I said yes. That's the most romantic thing I've ever heard, Patricia said, and she actually looked misty-eyed. I take back everything I said about the hotel room. The second course arrived, then the third. The wine flowed. Patricia warmed up to Declan with every course, asking about his family. Deceased father, socialite mother, no siblings. His business, very successful, very boring details. His intentions, completely honorable. By the fifth course, she was showing him photos of Tessa's childhood ballet recitals. "Mom, stop," Tessa pleaded. "You were adorable. Look at this one. Age 7, dressed as a swan. I quit ballet after that recital. Because you said the costume was structurally unsound." Riley was grinning. "You were 7 and critiquing costume design. It was poorly made." Declan studied the photo. "You were a very serious child." I was focused. "You were terrifying," Riley corrected. "Remember when you made that kid in 3rd grade cry because he said girls couldn't be astronauts?" He was wrong. Sally Ride was an astronaut. I had facts. You made him cry with facts. He should have researched better. Declan was definitely smiling now. A real smile, not the polished boardroom version. "I would have been terrified of you in 3rd grade. You should be terrified of me now." "I am. It's one of your more attractive qualities." The air between them went charged. Patricia and Riley faded into background noise. It was just Tessa and Declan, looking at each other across wine glasses and half-finished courses, and something was happening that definitely wasn't in the contract. "Bathroom," Tessa announced abruptly, standing. "Riley, come with me." "But I don't." "Now." The restaurant's bathroom was all marble and ambient lighting, and completely wasted on Tessa's current crisis. "What's wrong?" Riley asked. "It's going great. Mom loves him. He's charming and rich and clearly obsessed with you." "He's not obsessed with me. This is fake." Riley blinked. "What?" "The engagement. It's complicated. For work. You fake proposed to your boss for a promotion?" "I drunkenly proposed. He accepted for complicated reasons involving his dead father and board pressure. We signed a contract. It's a business arrangement." Riley stared at her, then started laughing. "That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard." "I know. You're fake engaged to a man who looks at you like you hung the moon. He doesn't." "Tessa, I've been watching him all night. He hasn't looked at his phone once. He laughs at your jokes. He touched your hand every time Mom said something that upset you." "And that proposal story?" Riley shook her head. "If that's fake, he should win an Oscar. He's a good actor." "Or," Riley said carefully, "he's not acting." Before Tessa could respond, the bathroom door opened. A woman walked in, then stopped, staring. "Oh my God," she said. "You're Tessa Crane." Tessa blinked. Yes? "From the video. The proposal video. I saw it on Twitter. It has like 2 million views now. You're trending." "I'm what?" The woman pulled out her phone, scrolling quickly. "Look, Sinshaya, table proposal. Everyone's talking about it. There are memes. Someone made a TikTok compilation. You're like, relationship goals." She showed them the phone. Sure enough, the video of Tessa, drunk and determined, standing on a table declaring her intentions to Declan. And beneath it, hundreds of thousands of likes. Comments like, "This is how you shoot your shot," and "The way he looks at her at the end," and "I need a man who accepts my drunk proposals." "This is a disaster," Tessa whispered. "This is amazing," the woman said. "Can I get a selfie?" "No," Tessa said. "Please. My followers would die." "We really need to go," Riley interjected, pulling Tessa toward the door. They made it back to the table where Declan and Patricia were deep in conversation about something that was making her mother actually laugh. He glanced up as they approached, and his expression immediately shifted. "What's wrong?" "We're trending on Twitter," Riley announced, sliding back into her seat. 2 million views. Tessa's a meme. Declan pulled out his phone, scrolled. His jaw tightened. "Marcus posted it publicly." "Can you fire him?" Tessa asked. "Please tell me you can fire him." Already drafting the paperwork mentally. But he was still scrolling, reading comments. Then his expression changed to something almost pleased. "They love you. They love us," Tessa corrected. "It's the enemies to lovers thing. People are romanticizing it. Is that bad? Is it bad that millions of strangers think our fake relationship is real? I don't know, Declan, you tell me." Patricia was looking between them, confused. "What are you talking about?" "Nothing," they said simultaneously. The dessert course arrived, something chocolate and complicated. Tessa's phone kept buzzing with notifications. Twitter, Instagram, 3 texts from people she hadn't talked to since college. A LinkedIn message from someone wanting to feature their love story in an article. "This is out of control," she muttered. Declan's hand covered hers on the table. We'll handle it. How? The same way we handle everything. Together. There was that word again. Together. Like they were actually a team. Like this was more than a contractual obligation with an expiration date. Patricia cleared her throat. Well, this has been eventful. But I like you, Declan. You're good for my daughter. Thank you, Mrs. Crane. That means a lot. And Tessa? Patricia looked at her daughter, and for once there was no criticism in her eyes. Just something that looked almost like pride. You look happy. Really happy. That's all I've ever wanted for you. Tessa's throat felt tight. Thanks, Mom. They said their goodbyes. Patricia hugging Declan like he was already family. Riley whispering, "Call me tomorrow, I need details." And then it was just Tessa and Declan in the back of the town car, Raymond driving them home through Manhattan traffic. That went well, Declan said. We're trending on Twitter with 2 million views. Your mother likes me. Everyone likes you. You're annoyingly likable when you want to be. Only when I want to be. Tessa looked at him. Really looked. At the way he'd loosened his tie, the slight disarray of his perfectly styled hair, the hint of a smile still playing at his mouth. That proposal story, she said quietly. The one you told my mom. About me being brilliant and fierce and you wanting to stand beside me while I change the world. What about it? Where did that come from? Declan was quiet for a long moment. You are brilliant and fierce. That part wasn't a lie. But the rest? The rest was what I needed to say to convince your mother. Rule 1. But he wasn't looking at her when he said it. He was looking out the window at the city lights streaming past. Tessa's phone buzzed again. Another notification. Another 1,000 strangers invested in a relationship that wasn't real. Except it was starting to feel a little bit real. And that, she realized, was a problem. Tessa woke up to the sound of her phone exploding. Not literally exploding, though at 6:23 a.m. on a Saturday, it felt close enough. She grabbed it from the nightstand, squinting at the screen through sleep-blurred eyes. 47 new notifications. She scrolled through them with growing dread. Instagram tags, Twitter mentions, 3 missed calls from numbers she didn't recognize, and 1 text from her assistant Jenny that just said, "Check the news. Now." Tessa opened her browser. The headline hit her like cold water. Archer Global CEO's whirlwind romance. Inside Declan Archer and Tessa Crane's viral love story. Below it, photos. Lots of photos. Her and Declan leaving per se last night, his hand on her back. Getting into the car, her laughing at something he'd said, and her stomach dropped. One of them through the car window, her head tilted toward him, his hand reaching to tuck hair behind her ear. That last one looked intimate, real, like they actually were 2 people falling in love instead of 2 people executing a contractual agreement. No, 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 Tessa muttered, scrolling through the article. Sources close to the couple say Archer, 34, has been smitten with his marketing director for over 2 years. But Crane, 29, was focused on her career. Everything changed at a recent company celebration when Crane publicly declared her feelings in what witnesses describe as the most romantic thing we've ever seen. Archer accepted immediately, and the couple is now planning a June wedding. There was a knock on her bedroom door. Then it opened, because apparently Declan didn't understand boundary concepts, and he walked in holding 2 coffee mugs. He was wearing gray sweatpants and a white t-shirt that should have been criminal. His hair was disheveled. He looked like a cologne advertisement designed to destroy women's ability to think clearly. "You're in the news," he said, handing her a mug. "We're in the news. Page 6 Us Weekly, and something called Elite Daily that I've never heard of but apparently has strong opinions about our relationship. I saw." He sat on the edge of her bed, again with the boundary issues, and sipped his coffee like this was all perfectly normal. "My publicist called at 6. She's thrilled. She's thrilled we're being stalked by paparazzi. She's thrilled we're generating positive press. Archer Global's stock is up 3 points this morning." Tessa stared at him. "Our fake engagement is affecting your stock price? Markets love stability. A CEO in a committed relationship signals reliability, longevity, family values. It's all very boring and predictable." He glanced at her phone. "You should get ready. We have brunch with my mother at 10. "We have what?" "Brunch. My mother. She texted last night. Wanted to meet the woman who finally tamed her impossible son." His expression was carefully neutral. "I told her we'd be there." "You didn't think to ask me first?" You signed a contract agreeing to a minimum of 2 public family events per month. This is event number 2. It's been 3 days. My mother is efficient. He stood, heading for the door. Wear something nice but not too formal. She'll judge you either way, but at least make it a challenge. I don't like your mother. Nobody likes my mother. That's her appeal. He paused in the doorway. Tessa? What? You look good in the mornings. Rumpled. Then he was gone, leaving Tessa sitting in bed, coffee in hand, wondering how her life had become a romantic comedy she didn't audition for. 2 hours later, Tessa stood in front of her closet having a crisis. Nice but not too formal was the kind of vague instruction designed to make women lose their minds. She'd tried on 4 dresses, 3 skirt combinations, and was currently glaring at a blouse that looked fine on the hanger, but questionable on her body. Another knock. Are you ready? Declan's voice through the door. Does this look okay? Tessa opened the door, gesturing at her outfit. Navy dress, modest heels, pearl earrings borrowed from her old life when she thought looking professional meant looking boring. Declan's eyes traveled from her face down to her shoes and back up again. Slowly. You look beautiful. I look safe. You look like you. He reached out, adjusting the collar of her dress slightly. His fingers brushed her collarbone. My mother is going to interrogate you about everything from your ancestry to your 5-year plan. Don't let her intimidate you. I work for you. I'm already immune to intimidation. I'm not intimidating. You fired 3 people in 1 meeting last month. They were underperforming. You made one of them cry. He made himself cry by missing his quarterly targets. Declan checked his watch. We need to leave in 5 minutes. My mother hates lateness more than she hates Democrats. Is your mother terrifying? Absolutely. But she liked your proposal video, so you have a head start. They took Declan's car, a sleek black Mercedes that probably cost more than Tessa's college education, to a restaurant in the Upper East Side that screamed old money, the kind of place where the waiters wore white gloves and the silverware had family crests. Vivienne Archer was waiting at a corner table, already halfway through a mimosa. She was 74 but looked 60, wearing Chanel and pearls, and an expression that suggested she'd been disappointed by life repeatedly and had documentation. Her silver hair was perfectly coiffed. Her lipstick was a shade of red that meant business. Declan, she offered her cheek for a kiss. You're late. We're 2 minutes early, Mother. Then I'm earlier. Her eyes landed on Tessa. So you're the girl. Tessa Crane. Tessa extended her hand. It's lovely to meet you, Mrs. Archer. Vivian? Mrs. Archer was my mother-in-law and we didn't speak for 30 years. She shook Tessa's hand firmly. Sit. I've ordered for all of us. The chef knows what I like. They sat. A waiter appeared immediately with menus they wouldn't use. Vivienne studied Tessa like she was evaluating a piece of art at auction. You're younger than I expected. I'm 29. And you work for my son. I'm the director of marketing at Archer Global. Soon to be vice president. Declan interjected. Vivienne's eyebrow rose. Promoting your fiancé, that'll look suspicious. She earned it. The promotion was already in discussion before the engagement. Was it? Vivienne sipped her mimosa. Tell me, Tessa, what are your intentions with my son? Tessa blinked. My intentions? Are you after his money, his position, his connections? It's fine if you are. At least be honest about it. Mother, Declan's voice held a warning. It's a legitimate question. I've seen plenty of young women pursue Declan for the wrong reasons. I'm not pursuing him for any reason, Tessa said carefully. I love him. The lie tasted strange. Or maybe it wasn't entirely a lie anymore. Maybe that was the problem. Vivienne's eyes narrowed. Love. How modern. When I married Declan's father, it was a practical arrangement. 2 good families, compatible assets, mutual benefit. Love came later, or didn't, depending on the day. She leaned forward. But you stood on a table in front of everyone and demanded he marry you. That's either love or insanity. Maybe both, Tessa said. Vivienne laughed, actually laughed. I like her, Declan. She's got spine. I'm aware. You'll need spine in this family. Declan's father was impossible, brilliant, visionary, completely emotionally unavailable. Declan inherited all of those qualities. Mother, it's true. You're exactly like him. All work, no life. Completely hopeless at expressing feelings. Vivienne turned back to Tessa. He'll make you miserable if you let him. He'll work 80-hour weeks, miss anniversaries, forget birthdays. He'll optimize your relationship like it's a quarterly earnings report. I'm sitting right here, Declan said. I know, darling. That's why I'm telling her now. Vivian's expression softened slightly. But he's also loyal. When he commits to something or someone, he commits completely. He'll never cheat, never lie, never give you less than everything he has. It might not be romantic, but it's real. Tessa's chest felt tight. That's good to know. The food arrived. Eggs Benedict, smoked salmon, pastries that looked like art. They ate while Vivian interrogated Tessa about her family. Middle class, how refreshing. Her education, marketing, practical, and her plans for children. Let's focus on the wedding first. Halfway through the meal, Tessa's phone buzzed. She ignored it. Then it buzzed again and again. Answer it, Declan said quietly. It might be work. Tessa checked. 3 missed calls from Brad Whitmore, her counterpart on the Richardson account, the biggest pitch Archer Global had made all year. I need to take this, she said, excusing herself. She stepped outside, calling Brad back. Tessa, thank God, we have a problem. Her stomach dropped. What kind of problem? Richardson's pulling out. Something about not wanting to work with a company that's all over the tabloids. They want stability, not viral videos. You're joking. I wish. They called an hour ago. Emergency board meeting. They're meeting with our competitors Monday morning. The Richardson account was worth $12 million. Losing it would be catastrophic. Can we fix this? Tessa asked. Maybe, if we can show them we're serious, professional, that the viral thing was a one-time event. But we'd need to meet with them before Monday. Set it up? Tomorrow if possible. I'll handle it. She hung up, taking a deep breath. When she turned around, Declan was there. Richardson? He asked. How did you? I know that expression. Something's on fire. He moved closer. Tell me. They're pulling out. The viral video, the tabloid coverage, they think we're not serious enough. Brad says we can save it if we meet with them before Monday. Declan was already pulling out his phone. I'll call Richardson's CEO directly. We'll meet tomorrow, both of us. Show unified leadership. You don't have to. This is my company, Tessa, and you're... He stopped. You're my partner. In this. We fix it together. There was that word again. Together. Okay, Tessa said. Together. They went back inside. Vivian took one look at their faces and sighed. Work crisis. Richardson account, Declan said. Of course it is. You two are exactly alike. All business all the time. But she was smiling. Go, fix your crisis. We'll reschedule. Thank you, Tessa said. Don't thank me yet. I expect you both at the charity gala next weekend. Formal attire. And Tessa? Vivian's expression turned serious. Whatever's happening between you two, real or not, don't hurt him. Pretends nothing affects him, but that's a lie. He feels everything. He just doesn't show it. Before Tessa could respond, Vivian was gathering her things, kissing Declan's cheek, and sweeping out of the restaurant like royalty dismissing her court. Your mother is terrifying, Tessa said. I warned you. She also basically told me you're secretly emotional. She exaggerates. Does she? Declan looked at her for a long moment. We should go. We have work to do. They spent the afternoon in Declan's home office, a room Tessa hadn't seen before, all dark wood and leather and floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. He worked at his desk while she spread out on the couch with her laptop, both of them building the presentation that would save the Richardson account. What if we emphasized long-term stability? Tessa suggested around hour 3. Show them our 5-year projections, proof that we're growing sustainably. Good. And add the client retention statistics. 98% over 5 years. That's actually impressive. I hire good people. He glanced at her. Speaking of which, that promotion to VP. It's official as of Monday. Tessa's head snapped up. What? I talked to the board this morning. They approved it unanimously. Because of the engagement. Because of your work. The engagement just made it easier to push through. He closed his laptop. You've earned this, Tessa. Stop second-guessing it. I'm not. You are. You've been second-guessing yourself since the day you started. Meanwhile, you closed Miller Townsend, increased market share by 23%, and revolutionized our entire digital strategy. You're brilliant at your job. Accept it. Tessa's throat felt tight. Why do you do that? Do what? Say things that make it hard to remember this is fake. The room went very quiet. Declan stood, walking over to the couch. He sat beside her, close enough that she could feel the heat of him, smell that cedar scent that was becoming dangerously familiar. "Tessa," he said quietly, "can I be honest with you? Rule 4. Complete honesty about complications." "Right." He ran a hand through his hair, the first time she'd seen him look genuinely uncertain. "This arrangement, it's not as simple as I thought it would be." Her heart was hammering. "What do you mean?" "I mean that I'm very good at keeping business and personal separate. I've done it my entire career. But with you," he looked at her, those gray eyes intense, "every time I touch you for show, every time I say something to convince your family or mine, it feels less like acting and more like what? Like something I actually want." The air between them was electric, charged, dangerous. "Declan," Tessa whispered, "I know, this isn't in the contract. Rule 5 specifically states, no falling in love." "Yes. And are you?" Her voice was barely audible. "Falling in love?" Declan's hand came up, cupping her face the way he'd done that first morning in the hotel. His thumb brushed her cheekbone. "I'm trying very hard not to," he said. Then his phone rang. They both jumped like they'd been caught doing something wrong, which, technically, they were. The contract had very clear boundaries about emotional entanglement. Declan grabbed his phone. "Archer, yes, Brad. Tomorrow at 9 works, we'll be there." He hung up, looked at Tessa. The moment was gone, but the tension remained. "Richardson meeting set for tomorrow, 9 a.m. "Okay, we should prepare. Run through the presentation again." "Right, professional, work." They went back to their respective spaces, him at his desk, her on the couch. But Tessa couldn't focus. All she could think about was his hand on her face, his voice saying something I actually want, and the way her own heart had responded with a resounding me too. This was supposed to be simple, a business arrangement with clear terms and an exit strategy. So why did it suddenly feel like the most complicated thing she'd ever done? The Richardson meeting was scheduled for 9 a.m. Tessa woke up at 5:30, couldn't fall back asleep, and found herself in the penthouse kitchen at 6, eating cereal directly from the box while reviewing her notes for the 40th time. "You're up early." She jumped, scattering Cheerios across the marble counter. Declan stood in the doorway, already dressed in a sharp navy suit, looking unfairly put together for someone who'd supposedly just woken up. "Couldn't sleep," Tessa said, sweeping cereal into her palm. "Kept thinking about all the ways this meeting could go wrong." "It won't go wrong. You don't know that. I know you." He walked to the coffee maker, the unnecessarily complicated Italian thing that required a manual, and started brewing. "You're the most prepared person I've ever met. You probably have 17 backup plans. 19, actually." His mouth curved. "See? We'll be fine." But Tessa's stomach was still twisted in knots. The Richardson account wasn't just about money, though $12 million was nothing to sneeze at. It was about proving that she could handle high-stakes negotiations, that the viral video hadn't turned her into a joke, that she deserved the VP title that would be announced tomorrow. And underneath all of that, a worse fear. What if losing this account proved that the engagement, the fake engagement, was actually hurting the company instead of helping it? "Tessa," Declan handed her a coffee, made exactly how she liked it. He'd learned that after exactly 2 mornings of living together. "Stop spiraling." "I'm not spiraling. You're eating cereal from the box at 6 a.m. while mentally cataloging disaster scenarios. That's textbook spiraling. How do you know that's what I'm doing?" "Because it's what I do." He leaned against the counter beside her. "The difference is I do it while running 5 miles and listening to earnings calls. You do it with carbohydrates. Are you saying my coping mechanisms are inferior?" "I'm saying they're more enjoyable to watch." Despite everything, Tessa smiled. "You're being nice to me. That's how I know you're worried." "I'm not worried. You made my coffee without being asked. I was making my own anyway. Efficiency." "You're worried." Declan was quiet for a moment. Then, "I'm concerned that my personal choices might negatively impact your professional reputation. That's different." "Declan, if Richardson pulls out because of the tabloid coverage, that's on me. I accepted your proposal publicly. I turned it into a spectacle. If there are consequences, we face them together." Tessa interrupted. "That's what you said yesterday. Together." He looked at her, really looked, the way he sometimes did when he thought she wasn't paying attention, like she was a complex equation he was trying to solve, except the answer kept changing. Together, he repeated quietly. Richardson Industries occupied 3 floors of a midtown building that screamed, "We have money but don't flaunt it." The lobby was all polished steel and modern art that probably had deep meaning Tessa didn't understand. Brad Whitmore met them on the 14th floor, looking like he'd slept in his suit. "They're already in the conference room," he said, voice low. "CEO, CFO, and their head of communications. The communications person is the problem. She's the one who flagged the tabloid coverage. We'll handle it," Declan said with the kind of confidence that made people believe mountains could be moved through sheer force of will. The conference room was exactly what Tessa expected. Massive table, uncomfortable chairs, 3 people who looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. Martin Richardson, the CEO, was 60-something with the kind of handshake that said he'd built his company from nothing and didn't suffer fools. His CFO, a woman named Patricia Chen, looked like she could calculate quarterly earnings in her sleep. And the head of communications, Diane Summers, she said, not offering her hand. "I'm the one who raised concerns about moving forward with this partnership. We appreciate your candor," Declan said smoothly. "And we're here to address those concerns directly." They sat. Tessa opened her laptop, pulled up the presentation she and Declan had refined until 3 a.m., and took a breath. "Mr. Richardson, Ms. Chen, Ms. Summers, thank you for meeting with us on short notice. We understand you have concerns about recent publicity surrounding Archer Global, and we want to address those head-on." She clicked to the first slide. 5 years of growth charts, client retention rates, industry awards. Archer Global has maintained a 98% client retention rate over 5 years. We've grown revenue by 340% in that time. We've won industry recognition for innovation, stability, and client service. "All of which is impressive," Diane interrupted, "but doesn't address the core issue. Your CEO's personal life is currently trending on Twitter. That's not the kind of attention our brand wants to be associated with." Tessa felt her stomach drop, but Declan leaned forward calmly. "Ms. Summers, I understand your concern, but let me ask you something. Has Richardson Industries ever made a hiring decision based on an employee's personal life, whether they were married, single, divorced? Of course not. That would be discrimination." "Exactly. So why would you make a business decision based on whether I'm engaged?" His voice was level but sharp. "Tessa Crane is one of the most talented marketing directors in the industry. She closed deals 3 other firms couldn't touch. She revolutionized our digital strategy and increased our market share by 23% in 18 months. The fact that she proposed to me after too many martinis, yes, it was unconventional, but it was also genuine, human, and frankly, the kind of authentic moment that people connected with. 2 million people connected with it," Patricia Chen said, speaking for the first time. "I saw the video. My daughter showed me. She said it was romantic." Diane shot her a look. "Your daughter is 23, and part of the demographic Richardson is trying to reach with our new product line." Patricia pulled out her tablet, scrolling. The engagement announcement generated significant positive sentiment. 87% positive mentions across social media. Brand recognition for Archer Global is up 34% in the last week alone. Martin Richardson leaned back in his chair. "Keep talking." Tessa jumped in. "The publicity, yes, it was unexpected, but it's not negative. We're not embroiled in scandal or controversy. 2 people fell in love at work. That happens every day. The only difference is it happened publicly." She clicked to the next slide. Their proposed strategy for Richardson's account. "What we're offering Richardson Industries is what we've always offered. Strategic innovation, measurable results, and a team that delivers. My personal life doesn't change that." "Actually," Declan said, and something in his voice made Tessa's pulse quicken. "It does change one thing." She looked at him. He wasn't looking at Richardson. He was looking at her. "Declan," she said quietly, "this partnership, if you choose to move forward with us, you need to know something. Something I should have said days ago, but He paused. "I was scared to admit it." "Declan, what are you doing?" Tessa whispered. He stood. Martin Richardson, Patricia Chen, and Diane Summers watched with expressions ranging from confused to intrigued. "The engagement," Declan said, his eyes still on Tessa. It started as something practical. Tessa proposed publicly, and I accepted for reasons that made sense at the time. Professional reasons, strategic reasons. He moved closer to where Tessa sat. But somewhere between signing contracts and arguing about Sunday morning television habits and watching her demolish my mother with charm and grace, it stopped being practical. Tessa's heart was hammering. "Declan, I'm in love with you." He said it simply, clearly, like he was stating a fact in a board meeting. Actually in love, the kind where I wake up wondering if you're awake too, where I make your coffee without thinking about it, where the idea of this ending in 12 months like we planned makes me want to burn the entire contract. The room was dead silent. "I'm in love with you," he repeated, "and I'm sorry I made this into a business arrangement when it should have been. Should be so much more than that." Tessa couldn't breathe. "You're in love with me." Terrifyingly so. This wasn't in the contract. Screw the contract. And then, because apparently Tessa's life had fully become a romantic comedy, Diane Summers started clapping. "Now that's romantic," she said. "Patricia, are you seeing this?" Patricia was wiping her eyes. "I'm not crying. It's allergies." Martin Richardson cleared his throat. "Well, this is unexpected." Tessa was still staring at Declan. "You just declared your love for me in front of our potential clients." "I know. That's incredibly unprofessional." "I know. Also possibly the most romantic thing anyone's ever done for me." His expression shifted. Hope, uncertainty, something vulnerable that Tessa had never seen on Declan Archer's face before. "Is that a good thing?" "You're an idiot," Tessa said. Then she stood up, grabbed his perfectly knotted tie, and kissed him. It was nothing like the careful, calculated touches they'd performed for cameras. This was real, messy, and desperate, and absolutely not appropriate for a business meeting. His hands went to her waist, pulling her closer. She felt him smile against her mouth. Someone, probably Patricia, was definitely crying now. When they finally broke apart, Tessa was breathless. "I'm in love with you too, by the way. Have been since approximately the 3rd day of living with you, when you reorganized my entire bathroom cabinet by product type and usage frequency, and somehow made it charming instead of controlling." Declan laughed. Actually laughed. "That's what did it? Bathroom organization? You put my face wash on the left because I'm left-handed. Who does that? Someone who pays attention. Someone who's secretly a romantic buried under spreadsheets and quarterly reports. I prefer efficiently affectionate." Martin Richardson cleared his throat again. "So, are we done with the emotional declarations or should we order lunch?" Tessa turned, suddenly remembering they had an audience. "Right, the account. We should—" "You have the account," Martin said, standing and extending his hand to Declan. "Anyone who can make that kind of declaration in the middle of a business meeting is either insane or completely genuine. I'm betting on genuine." He shook Tessa's hand next. "Congratulations on your engagement, the real one." "Thank you," Tessa managed. Diane was smiling, actually smiling. "This is going to be great for both our brands. The authentic love story angle, marketing gold." They spent the next hour hammering out contract details, timeline, deliverables. Tessa was barely paying attention. All she could think about was Declan's hand under the table, fingers laced through hers, and the fact that everything had just changed. When they finally left the building, Brad trailing behind them with a shell-shocked expression, Tessa pulled Declan into a side street. "Did that actually just happen?" she asked. "I believe I declared my love for you. You called me an idiot, then kissed me in front of a Fortune 500 CEO, so yes. The contract is void. I'm tearing it up the second we get home. But the 12 months, I don't want 12 months, Tessa. I want—" He cupped her face, thumb brushing her cheek. "I want actual forever, no expiration date, no business arrangement, just us." "That's terrifying." "Absolutely. Also completely impractical. We work together. You're my boss." "About that." He pulled out his phone, typed something quickly. "I just emailed HR. Effective immediately, you report to the COO instead of me. VP of Marketing, completely independent chain of command. You can't just—" "I already did. Office politics handled." He pocketed his phone. "Any other objections?" Tessa's mind raced. "Your mother is going to say she knew it all along." "She absolutely will. My sister is going to demand to be maid of honor." "Reasonable request. And we're still trending on Twitter. Let them trend." Declan kissed her forehead, then her nose, then her mouth. soft and sweet and nothing like the desperate kiss in the conference room. I don't care what the internet thinks. I care what you think. I think, Tessa said slowly, that I spent 2 years believing you were impossible, cold, emotionally unavailable. And now I know you're just really, really bad at showing feelings. But when you do, she smiled. When you do, it's kind of perfect. Kind of. Completely, annoyingly perfect. His phone buzzed, then hers, then both simultaneously. They looked. The video was already online. Someone from Richardson's office had clearly recorded the whole thing and posted it. The caption read, "CEO declares love in middle of business meeting. Romance isn't dead." It had 50,000 views in 15 minutes. "We're going viral again," Tessa said. "Good." Declan pulled her closer. "Let the world know I'm completely, stupidly in love with my fake fiancé, who became my real fiancé, who's about to become my actual wife. You're assuming I'm still going to marry you after all this chaos." "I am." Bold assumption. Tessa Crane. He got down on one knee right there on the Manhattan sidewalk, business people streaming past them. "Will you actually, for real this time? No contracts or arrangements or professional obligations? Will you marry me?" Tessa looked down at him, this impossible, brilliant, emotionally constipated man who'd organized her bathroom products and made her coffee and declared his love in front of their biggest client. "Yes," she said, "but I want Sunday mornings. Done. And veto power over your sock organization system." "Absolutely not. The socks stay organized." "Fine. But I'm not watching the Financial Times with you. I would never ask you to. And one more thing. Name it. I love you too, stupidly, completely. The kind where I want to burn that ridiculous contract and build something real instead." Declan stood, kissed her hard enough that someone whistled and said against her mouth, "Deal." 6 months later, the wedding was perfect. Small ceremony, immediate family only, in a garden overlooking the Hudson River. Tessa wore a dress that Riley had cried over, and Declan wore a suit that made him look like he'd walked out of a magazine ad for successful husbands. Patricia Crane cried through the entire ceremony. Vivian Archer didn't cry but did smile, which was basically the same thing. Riley gave a maid of honor speech that was 70% embarrassing childhood stories, 30% genuine emotion. Marcus from finance showed up uninvited and tried to take credit for the whole thing. I recorded the original proposal, until Declan quietly reminded him he was already on thin ice with HR, and when the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," Declan pulled Tessa close and whispered, "Still not falling in love with you." "Liar," she whispered back. "Completely." They kissed while everyone applauded, and somewhere someone was probably recording it for social media. Tessa didn't care. Let them record. Let them trend. Let the whole world know that sometimes the best relationships started with drunk proposals, fake contracts, and 2 workaholics who didn't know they were falling in love until it was too late to stop. Later, at the reception, Tessa found Declan on the terrace loosening his tie and looking out at the city. "Regretting it already?" she asked, sliding up beside him. "Never." He pulled her close, his hand settling at her waist like it belonged there. "Although I should warn you, I've already started optimizing our honeymoon itinerary." "Of course you have. 3 cities, 15 restaurants, museum visits scheduled by artistic period." "Declan?" "Yes?" "Shut up and dance with me." Music drifted from inside, something slow and romantic that Tessa didn't recognize. Declan pulled her into his arms and they swayed together under the stars. Husband and wife, CEO and VP, 2 people who'd started fake and ended up with something terrifyingly, perfectly real. "Hey, Tessa," Declan said softly. "Yeah? Thank you for climbing on that table." She laughed, loud and bright and completely her. "Thank you for saying yes. Best business decision I ever made. This isn't business anymore." "No," he agreed, kissing the top of her head. "It's so much better." And somewhere in Queens, Patricia Crane was already planning the baby shower. Epilogue. 1 year later, the headline read, "Archer Global CEO and VP welcome baby girl, named after viral proposal location." Tessa held the newspaper, laughing so hard she almost woke the sleeping infant in her arms. "They named our daughter after a bar," she said. Declan looked up from where he was very seriously organizing baby supplies by category. We named her Madison. It's a perfectly normal name. We named her after the street where the bar was located. It's commemorative. It's ridiculous. She's going to grow up knowing her parents' love story started with chaos and ended with happily ever after. That's romantic. That's one word for it. But Tessa was smiling, looking down at Madison Rose Archer, who had her father's gray eyes and her mother's tendency to fight sleep like it was a personal insult. You know what the best part is? Declan sat beside them, his hand gentle on Madison's tiny head. What? We get to tell her that her mother proposed to her father in front of 50 people while standing on a table. I'm never living that down, am I? Never. He kissed Tessa softly. But I wouldn't change a single thing. Not even the contract? Especially not the contract. It brought us here. Madison yawned. A tiny, perfect sound. Tessa leaned into Declan's shoulder, feeling his arm come around them both. Outside, New York City hummed with millions of other love stories. But this one, the one that started with martinis and bad decisions and a contract with 46 pages, this one was theirs. And it was perfect. The end.